The Fortnite Season 2 looks absolutely insane. From the endgame chaos to the war of the multiverse, here is everything you need to know about one of the wildest seasons yet. It's official now, Fortnite Chapter 7 Season 2, titled Showdown, is almost here. And we just got an insane trailer packed with Easter eggs and hidden details about the future of this chapter. First thing first, the trailer reveals the return of the Ice King, the main antagonist for the upcoming season. However, thanks to Epic Games, he's rocking a completely new style. This isn't just the same Ice Boy we saw in the OG event. The trailer kicked off by showcasing a new Ice King Castle location and a brand new biome. It looks incredible, and I'm honestly just happy the Ice King is finally getting the attention he deserves with an expansion of his storyline. But the Ice King isn't the only star of this teaser. We also got a glimpse of his prisoners, starting with Aurelia, the female counterpart to Oro. She is tied to ancient treasures and golden energy, and her presence among the captives suggests that the Ice King is hunting down monarchs and mythical creatures across the multiverse, neutralizing them one by one. Next, we see the prisoner, also known as the Fire King. According to the lore, he is the Lord of Fire, whom the Ice King originally kept locked in a dungeon. Back in Chapter 1, he escaped and caused a volcanic eruption, so seeing him trapped in a block of ice again means the Ice King has reclaimed his power and recaptured his old rival. This is a massive callback to their legendary feud, unless, of course, this is an Ice King from a different reality, similar to where the Visitor originated, but more on that in a moment. The trailer also reveals Captain America, specifically the Steve Rogers version from the first Avenger. While it's unclear exactly how he ended up there, it's likely a clever Easter egg from Epic, referencing how Cap was famously frozen in ice for decades in Marvel canon. Now, he is quite literally on ice in the Ice King's collection, which confirms a massive Marvel collaboration for both the new season and the future of the chapter. Finally, we see the Foundation, the leader of the Seven. We already knew he was returning, but his new look is particularly interesting. This new design suggests he might actually be from the same alternate reality as the Visitor, and this specific version of the Ice King. Seeing the Ice King and the Foundation will return in Showdown season feels like a direct nod to the Doomsday and signals yet another major partnership with Marvel. More importantly, it reveals the core theme of the next season, a total war between two powerful factions. On one side, we have our heroes, the Seven, and on the other, a group that includes the Voyager and the Ice King. What this villainous faction will be called remains a mystery for now, but the stakes have never been higher. The real meat of the story in Season 2 is going to be our mission to finally track down the Foundation. This guy has been missing in action since he and Jonesy took that leap of faith into the Zero Point all the way back at the end of Chapter 3 Season 2. But the hype is real because everyone wants to know if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is actually coming back to voice him. Imagine the scenes if we get a brand new version of the Foundation played by someone else. It would totally change the vibe of the team. Either way, the Seven are clearly the main characters of this upcoming season. Now, if you thought the lore was already getting intense, wait until you hear about the massive rivalry that's supposed to be the backbone of Season 2. Forget those old rumors about Norse mythology and Vikings. The latest word from reputable leakers like Blortson is that we are getting a faction war. It looks like the Ice King and the Dark Voyager are teaming up to take a stand against the Seven. This is such a massive throwback to the peak days of Fortnite. We're talking about a Worlds Collide theme that is heavily inspired by the absolute best parts of Chapter 1 Season 5 and Chapter 2 Season 5. The idea is that Zero Point shards are going to start popping up everywhere, acting as gateways to different realities. This means we could see map changes and crossovers happening in real time throughout the entire season, keeping everything feeling fresh and unpredictable. Speaking of map changes, new locations looks promising. First up, the Ice King's castle is making a grand return. We saw a teaser image of a massive fortress buried in a snowy area. And honestly, it's going to make the northern part of the map feel so much more alive. But the desert lovers aren't being left out either. There's a new desert biome on the way that's expected to completely replace the Painted Palms location on the Golden Coast. This is likely where we'll see some of those Worlds Collide elements really taking root, maybe even bringing back some old school desert vibes we haven't seen in years. The teaser images show a heavily damaged version of Coral Castle, filled with shipwreckage and a lone lighthouse standing guard. It feels like a place that has been through a massive battle, which fits perfectly with the rivalry theme. On the gameplay side, things are about to get loony. Ted Timmons has been all over Twitter dropping hints that have the community losing its mind. He mentioned that Season 2 is going to dial up the Looney Tunes with its gameplay updates, and while that might sound like a joke, it actually hints at something much bigger. We're expecting a mostly refreshed loot pool, which is a huge relief because the meta has felt a bit stagnant lately. And if you're worried about this season dragging on as long as the last one, I've got some good news. Season 2 is only scheduled to run for about 80 days, which is a full month shorter than Season 1. The finish line is set for June 6th, which is a Saturday. That almost 100% guarantees we are getting a massive, world-ending live event to wrap things up. It's the kind of chaotic energy that only Fortnite can pull off. But it gets better. We are supposedly getting Overwatch skins for Tracer, Gen.G, and Mercy, with rumors suggesting at least one of them might actually be a secret skin in the Battle Pass. After the technical mess of the South Park event and the 2-week delay, it really feels like Epic used that extra time to make sure Season 2 is absolutely stacked with content. It's been a long wait, but if even half of this stuff is true, we are about to enter one of the best eras of Fortnite history. But here is the craziest part. A trusted leaker already mapped out exactly where these 3 major changes might happen. And rumor has it these locations might actually be pulled from a completely different reality. Fortnite tweeted out a cryptic number on loop, and if you check the current Battle Pass screen, it clearly states we are in reality 266. It's just a theory for now, but it adds up perfectly. The teasers this week weren't just about the map though. We got some major hints about the Battle Pass lineup. When Epic announced the event redo, they casually showed off the new Order skin, which has this incredibly clean remake design that leakers have basically locked in for the pass. We even spotted a survey concept that looks exactly like a secondary style for her. Now, early word was that this pass would be heavily Nordic themed, but a leaker recently walked that back a bit. We might still get a Viking-style skin or two, but that leads into the wildest curveball of the week. Bugs Bunny is reportedly joining the Season 2 Battle Pass. I know, comparing Bugs to Norse mythology makes zero sense, but think about how they dropped Magneto into the wrecked season out of nowhere. We could easily see the same thing happen with an iconic version of Bugs. I just hope they give him multiple edit styles, because just having his base look would be a massive missed opportunity for a pass. Keeping the momentum going, this pass is going to share a major trait with our current Season 1 pass. We are getting multiple distinct collabs. Word on the street is an Overwatch hero is taking up a slot, though the exact character is still under wraps. That leaves one final Battle Pass skin that leaked this week, and a lot of you already called it, a remake of the Foundation. If that pans out, we're getting 2 members of the 7 in a single pass. And the collab train doesn't stop there. The Overwatch leak actually stems from rumors of a massive crossover event, where we'd get 1 hero in the pass and 3 more hitting the item shop. If you've been keeping up with my news videos, you already know Daffy Duck has been leaked for even longer than Bugs, complete with Lego files sitting in the game code for weeks. So, Daffy and Lola Bunny are absolutely hitting the item shop. We even know Daffy is coming bundled with a back bling, an emote, and that Lego style. And now for the absolute wildest collab of the entire video, and probably all of Season 2. Tong Tong Sahur is officially dropping as a skin, complete with his own pickaxe. We've also heard whispers about Doja Cat wanting an 80s themed skin, though who knows if Epic is actually making that happen for this season. Sadly, to wrap the leaks up on a bit of a bummer, leakers are highly doubting the original Ice King will be in the Battle Pass at all. Despite being a huge player in both the OG and main storyline, if he doesn't hit the item shop, he's definitely not getting any new styles. Finally, like I teased at the very beginning of the video, we need to talk about the new February crew pack. The skin itself is honestly pretty sweet, but the real game changer here is the insane value. If you time it exactly right, a single crew purchase can score you up to 9 different battle passes and 4,000 V-Bucks. The secret is buying your crew subscription during the absolute sweet spot, which is between March 16th and March 18th. Let me break down exactly how this strategy works and why those dates matter so much. First, let's talk about getting those 4,000 V-Bucks. Before you do anything, make sure you hit level 200 on your current battle pass. Once you do that, go ahead and buy the crew pack between the 16th and the 18th. You'll instantly get the standard 1,000 V-Bucks that come with the crew, plus a 1,500 V-Buck refund for the battle pass you just finished. That puts 2,500 V-Bucks in your account right off the bat. The next season drops on the 18th, and your active crew sub will automatically unlock that new battle pass. Since you have almost a full month of your subscription left to play, you can easily level it up and earn another 1,500 V-Bucks, bringing your grand total to 4,000 in just a few weeks. Now, let's look at how you snag all those extra passes before your 1-month subscription runs out. We already covered the refund for your current battle pass and getting the next one that drops on the 18th. On top of that, your crew sub automatically unlocks the current Fortnite OG pass, giving you a little over 2 weeks to finish it before it ends on March 31st. You will also unlock the current festival pass with plenty of time to max it out, plus the current Ninjago Lego pass. That Lego pass is actually super easy, because completing your main battle pass automatically unlocks all the rewards for it anyway. Things get a little trickier with the upcoming passes. The next festival pass starts on April 15th, meaning you'll only have a day or two to grind levels before your crew sub expires. The absolute toughest one is the second Lego pass, which is supposedly Ninjago Part 2. That launches on April 16th, right around the time your sub will likely run out, so you'll have to decide if pulling off a crazy speed run is worth the effort for you. Finally, you get the Rocket League pass that starts on March 11th. Keep in mind that Rocket League is a totally separate game, so you'll actually have to download it to claim your stuff. You can realistically grab 2 cars before your sub ends, one just for logging in, and another around level 40. So that's pretty much it, but for now, let's switch gears back to the island and the arrival of the visitor. The evolving storyline of Fortnite Chapter 7 is completely flipping the script and changing absolutely everything the player base thought they knew about the game. When you take a close look at the latest teasers dropped by Epics, it becomes glaringly obvious that the deep and intricate narrative universe originally created years ago by Donald Mustard is finally getting the massive continuation it deserves. For the longest time, the community felt like we were left hanging in the breeze, waiting for a resolution to the massive cliffhangers that defined the earlier eras of the Battle Royale experience. Now, it feels exactly like we are watching a highly anticipated blockbuster unfolding right before our eyes. In the teasers that Epic recently published leading up to the massive final live event and the launch of the second season, it becomes crystal clear that our primary mission on the island is going to be tracking down the Foundation. However, that simple directive immediately throws a massive curveball our way. The most important question hovering over the entire community right now is exactly which version of the Foundation we are actually supposed to find. If you really think about the sheer scale of the multiverse, the situation is like trying to find a specific needle in a haystack the size of Texas. During the current chapter, we crossed paths with the Order, who is a crucial and recognizable member of the 7 originating directly from our own established reality. At the exact same time, the Visitor recently made a grand and dramatic arrival on the island. But in a massive twist that left us scratching our heads in confusion, it turns out this is a completely different variant of the Visitor, hailing from a totally alternate reality. This creates a deeply fractured dynamic that we have never had to navigate before. This conflicting dynamic is exactly what makes the current state of the lore so incredibly fascinating, and it really forces you to stop and analyze the bigger picture. When we finally manage to track down the Foundation, will this leader be the steadfast hero from our own timeline, or will he be a totally foreign entity from an unknown alternate universe? Back at the very beginning of the chapter, Epic made a bold promise to the community that the 7 would officially return to re-establish peace and order across the realms. Yet, what we are currently looking at is a completely mixed-up roster that does not match our historical records. We have the Order representing our original timeline, while this new visitor has dropped in from an entirely different dimension altogether. This bizarre situation leaves the ultimate fate of our original visitor, along with the rest of the original 7, shrouded in complete and total mystery. What is incredibly interesting is that this new duplicate of the visitor is definitely not the same silent and calculating figure. This shift directly leads me to my main point of concern regarding the future of the storyline. When we finally come face to face with the Foundation again, Is he going to be the exact same hero we knew and trusted? There is a very real possibility that we might end up crossing paths with a dark and twisted version of him, someone whose moral compass points in a completely different direction. Alternatively, we might encounter a completely different person entirely who just happens to wear the iconic armor. It is absolutely not a guaranteed fact that he will look or sound exactly like he did in the past. Dwayne Johnson generously lent his famous physical likeness and charismatic voice to bring the Foundation to life in previous chapters. However, considering the fact that the alternate reality visitor was introduced with a brand new voice actor, does this not heavily imply that the Foundation could also turn out to be someone completely different? It is highly likely that we will not be seeing Dwayne Johnson under the helmet this time around, which would be a massive shock to the system for longtime fans who associate the character exclusively with that collab. The primary reason I am bringing up the terrifying idea that the Foundation might not be a purely positive or heroic character anymore is entirely based on how the new visitor has been acting since he arrived on our Chapter 7 island. This new alternate reality visitor is absolutely nothing like the guy we are used to dealing with. To put it bluntly, this version of him is way more demanding and pushy. He barks orders like a drill sergeant at a military boot camp, completely dominating the conversation and creating the overwhelming impression that he was actually the supreme leader of the Seven, in whatever reality he originally came from. Furthermore, we know for a fact that this alternate visitor did not just casually stroll onto the Golden Coast for a vacation. He arrived with a very specific and highly mission, because he was actively hunting down the Dark Voyager. As we recently discovered, when this new visitor traveled back into the OG reality, it was definitely not a random accident. Over a long period of time, he had been embarking on a relentless and exhausting journey, aggressively tearing through countless different realities that the Dark Voyager had maliciously reduced to absolute ashes. The visitor was chasing him relentlessly across the vast cosmos, but we really need to pause and ask ourselves what his true motivation actually is. Was he chasing the Dark Voyager purely to stop his path of destruction and save innocent lives? Or could there be some other hidden and incredibly selfish interest driving his pursuit? It is entirely possible that this specific alternate reality version of the Seven are not actually the heroes of the dimension they originated from. They might operate strictly in a moral gray area. On the flip side, there is also the possibility that the Dark Voyager has already completely obliterated the home reality that these alternate variants came from, leaving them as bitter survivors seeking revenge. Although judging purely by the incredibly confident and dominant way this new visitor carries himself, I seriously doubt he would have allowed the Dark Voyager to completely destroy his homeworld without putting up a massive and devastating fight. So, where does all of this incredibly complex narrative building leave us right now? The storyline of the game is not just moving forward, it is rapidly evolving. Yet, the most massive and glaring questions remain completely unanswered. Who exactly are these alternate reality versions of the Seven? What is their genuine ultimate objective in our universe? Why are they so obsessed with pursuing the Dark Voyager to the very ends of existence? And most importantly, do they actually plan on sticking around in our reality permanently once the dust finally settles?